Okay, make sure everybody, you have your phones muted, just by the way. Oh, goodness. Kim can't get in. Can someone send Kim a link?
Okay.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. This is Laura with DNAngels. Welcome to our kickoff meeting for Angels Among Us. We're having a fundraiser in the month of July for DNAngels. We always have two fundraisers each year. We have a fundraiser in July and we have a fundraiser in November, December for Giving Tuesday and Christmas. And we'll get more into the fundraiser later, but we are going to start tonight with some other things we have that are really exciting at DNAngels. And the first thing is this. If you have not got your copy of Unlocking Your DNA, A Beginner's Roadmap to Genetic Discovery, the DNAngels way, you must do that. And guess what? It's absolutely free. I cannot remember how many pages it is. I used to remember because I made it, but I want to say it's like 70 pages of just back to back information on understanding your DNA, ethnicity, and what that really means. We give you examples, like here's a real life example of your ethnicity and how that breaks down and why it's different for everybody. So even though you and your sister test, it may be different. You may get different results because your inheritance is different. Hey, David, we
Well,
tell you common myths about ethnicity results. We tell you how to understand a centimorgan and what that means. Hey, John Tyner, I want to say hi to you. I see you over in the side. Can everybody see the comments?
yes.
Okay, good. We teach you how to sort using the leads method. Obviously, we can't tell you in the free guide how to sort, but we're going to give you the resources on how to find out how to do that. But anyway, it's free. Y'all go download it. I don't know if we can put a referral link in the chat over here on the side, but I bet that Cindy or Lori can figure that out and they'll put it in the link. But if you just go to DNAangels.org, it's right there on the front page at the very top. It says download, free download. And that leads me into my next discussion. But before we go to the next thing, I want to introduce everybody here because everybody on the screen is so special to us. We consider this our content creator. And just so you know, we have lots and lots of volunteers here at DNAngels, but this group in particular is our content creation team. And what that means is everyone you see here on our screen they play some role within our content creation. So let's introduce Tess. Tess, she used to do live reveals. She's you've seen her on screen before give results, but now she's on our virtual assistant team. And what that means is every time someone makes a comment on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook, Tess and Kim Taylor and Michelle Shelby, they are talking to you in the comments and they're saying thank you for engaging with us, or they're answering maybe your pertinent question at the time. Tess, can you say hi?
Hi,
Where are you from?
California. I live in the Bay Area, and this fall I'll have been a volunteer for 2 years.
Thank you.
And
And besides being a volunteer on the virtual assistant team, what is your role here at DNAangels?
I'm a search angel.
Thank you for being a search angel.
I I love it from the bottom of my heart. I love being able to help the clients and just be a little piece of their journey.
Yep. Yep. I love it too. We're going to move over to Jessica Deem next. Miss Jessica, can you tell us about yourself?
I'm Jessica, and I'm from Idaho, and I am a search angel.
And what do you do on the content creation team?
I do the live reveals, and I co-host Lost and Found series.
You sure do. Which brings us down to David. David, who are you?
Hi, everybody. My name is David Vargas. I am a search angel here. I'm originally born in Tennessee by way of California, Northern California, San Francisco Bay Area. And then now I live in Arizona, where we've been for nearly 20 years. So just kind of all over the place. Yeah, that's pretty much who I am.
Well, thank you for being here. And we're going to move it over to Laura Schultz next.
Hi, I'm Laura Schultz, and I live in North Carolina, and I'm a genetic genealogist. And besides doing some shows and co-hosting sometimes, I would say I'm a project manager for DNAngels. So
You do lots and lots for DNAngels. She also sits on our board of directors. Don't let her be
yes,
shy.
yes.
And then we got Tara Crawford. Tara, can you say hi?
Hey, I'm Tara Crawford. I'm a volunteer search angel. I can do live reveals. I can do client stories. I've been a volunteer here almost 2 years, just like Tess in fall. And I am from Southern California. I've lived most of my life in the San Diego area.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming tonight. And I don't know if you all know, but Tara is like a shining star. She's got some things she's going to be doing with DNAngels next year. So she's also joined our presentation team. It's 47 pages, someone said. Sorry. So thank you for doing that. We always need new faces and presenters to talk about not only DNAngels, but how we solve cases. Because I really firmly believe that if you feed a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a life. And that's really kind of my motto when it comes to the way that we teach. So we teach internally and we're trying to teach externally. But we got more people to introduce. Cindy Billingsley, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Oh, my camera's being weird. I hope I sound okay.
No, it looks okay.
Okay, I'm moving like in pieces. I am from Texas. I am first and foremost a search angel, genetic genealogist. I've actually had several roles, started with intake, but currently I am the director of operations. And on the content team, you've probably seen I've done a few YouTube videos, I've done some client reveals, and I just kind of help wherever I can.
Yes, we couldn't do it without Cindy, quite frankly. She's one of our backbones, and that which leads me over to Lori. Lori, before she gets to introduce herself, is my executive assistant, which Cindy used to do, but Cindy's now the director, and Lori's my assistant, and I could not do this without Lori. And what I want to say about Lori, sorry, I don't think you expected this, but Lori is responsible for all the graphics in our download and in our training guide that we have. So I'm going to tell you about the summer workshops that we're going to do, but there's also a download for that summer workshop, and she's responsible for all the graphics there. And I just have to tell you that we are genetic genealogists, okay? We are not graphic designers or anything like that. So for Lori to go learn how to use Canva to put all this together for us, I'm just really proud of her. I just get so flustered with all of that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Lori. And now you can tell everybody who you are.
You're welcome. My name is Lori Cousin, and I'm a genetic genealogist, search angel here at DNAngels. I've been here for about a year and a half, just like Tess and Tara. We all came in around the same time. And I currently live in Virginia, but spent most of my life in Maryland. I am Laura's executive assistant, as she mentioned, but I do have to say about the study guide that she's talking about and everything else. I helped put it together, but it was really Laura's concept, and then I just added some pictures and things like that. So really, she is the one behind all this. She's trying to push it off on me, but it's not me at all. It's all Laura. So,
well, thank you. Yes, I came up with the content, but you know, I think you need to put like lipstick on a pig, and Lori put that lipstick on our pig. So thank you so much. Okay, so let's get down to this. What is tonight about?
And I'm Brenda from Team Puerto Rico.
Oh my God, Brenda! It's not like I forgot you. I just thought Lori was my last name. Thank you, Brenda. Please talk to us about Brenda.
I also am a search angel, and I actually originally came on as a researcher and then decided that I'd much rather be doing the cases and solving these for all those wonderful, deserving people out in the world. So that's what I do. Solve cases here.
Let me tell you a little bit more about Brenda, though, because she's really shy. So, when Brenda says she's from Team Puerto Rico, I want to tell you a little backstory about DNAngels. We struggled in the beginning to really be able to solve cases from Puerto Rico. We had um, some specialists come in and work on it, but it was just really rough. And eventually we had to kind of shut that department down. And we went without someone to help people from Puerto Rico for a long time. And then we met Brenda, and Brenda had friends. And now we have this incredible team of search angels and researchers that really know what they're doing when it comes to records from Puerto Rico. So thank you very much, Brenda. I promise that was just an oversight, but I see someone else.
That's okay.
I talked about you earlier, Kim, but this is Kim Taylor. She's on our virtual assistance team. And before I let Kim introduce herself, I want to also acknowledge that Kim is the one that sends out our emails every week. So when you get an email, a newsletter email, a weekly content creator email, that's Kim. Kim has put all of that together and she has sent it out to you. So we have Kim to thank for that. So thank you, Kim. Kim, can you introduce yourself? Just tell us, your name, where you're from, and how long you've been with us, and what else you do at DNAngels.
Hi, I joined DNAngels, I think back in August, and just as a research assistant, and I have just kind of grown into doing other roles, sending out the emails, like Laura said, trying to learn Canva and learn as much as I can just to help out wherever it's needed.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We have not ever went live, but every week on Tuesday evenings at 6:00 Central, we meet as a team and we go over our stats. What are we seeing on YouTube? We analyze everything that's going on. We make plans for the next week and what content that we have going out. And I may be begging, for client stories. It really just depends on the week. Sometimes last month I was able to have the entire month laid out and I really didn't even have to worry about it. Like everybody had sent in videos and we were good to go. We're doing good for this month. We have some really great stories coming out this week and next week. Lori and Tara have sent in some amazing stories, and both of them have stories that have pictures with them that we were able to share from the family. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we have another episode of Lost and Found coming out on Thursday. Let's tell you about our workshop, and then I really want to get into the core reason why we're here tonight. So when you do your download on the internet, it's going to take you to a page that tells you about our summer workshops. And so we decided that we want to teach our audience how to understand your DNA. So we're going to do a series of 4 workshops. So in August and in September, on Wednesday, every other Wednesday in August and September at 6:00 p.m., we'll be hosting a 1-hour workshop, and each workshop will have a new instructor and a new subject. So I'm going to go over that with you, but some of our instructors are here tonight. So, matter of fact, all of our instructors are here tonight except for Rachel. So let's go over our workshop. Give me just a minute because I am flipping my screens here. Okay, so this is what's included. You get access to 4 live interactive workshops, which are 1 hour each. You'll get a downloadable workbook called the Ancestry DNA Roadmap, graphics done by Lori. You will get the recording of that workshop. So if you cannot attend, but you still want to complete the workshop, please go ahead and sign up for it, and we'll send you the weekly recording. And then Rachel Trout is going to teach you the NICE method, which is how we actually solve cases here at DNA Angels. It's how we map and triangulate our trees. And that is called the NICE method, and that's workshop 3. Now, this is not free. This is part of our summer fundraiser, and it's $199. But for that $199, you get access to all 4 sessions. You get the workbook plus replays, and then the hands-on DNA coaching in real time. And when I talk about this being a workshop, it's more than just a workshop, or it's not just a presentation. So we're going to do part of the hour as a presentation, a lecture per se. The rest of the hour is going to be spent on hands-on learning together as a group. And then we'll obviously have time for question and answer. But session 1, starting line, Know Your Route, is August 6th from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's where we're going to kick it off as a guided tour of Ancestry and MyHeritage. So we're going to show you some of the ins and outs of Ancestry and MyHeritage. You'll learn where everything is, and then we're going to start sorting your matches and give you the basic understanding of tree building. It's basically Family History 101. And that is going to be by Laura Schultz and yours truly. And then session 2, Merge Ahead, Match Clustering Made Easy. This is where we really do a deep dive into understanding your centimorgan ranges, spotting your shared networks, and really making sure that you've clustered up your matches. And that one is going to be led by Lori Cousin and yours truly. Scenic Route. This is, I don't know why this is so special to me, but this is something that's intellectual property to DNA Angels. We developed this and we fine-tuned it, and this is our baby. So using the NICE method, learning how to use icons, connect something to the tree, entering a note, and bringing your match list to life with colors, photos, and structure. That is going to be taught by Rachel Trout and yours truly. And that's on September 3rd. I do apologize. The dates are August 6th for session 1. Session 2 is August 20th. Session 3 is September 3rd. And then finally, session 4 is September 17th. These are on a Wednesday, by the way. This is called Destination Known, Build Your Case Map. So on our final session, we're going to pull it all together to build a strategy for our family tree. We're going to learn how to spot our most recent common ancestor and draft your genetic roadmap. That's going to be very exciting to just see everybody learn and blossom together. There is an optional add-on. If you would like to be mentored by an expert, you can do that for $50. And one of the instructors, myself, Lori, Rachel, or Tara, by the way, I didn't even mention session 4 is going to be Tara Crawford. Tara and I are teaching Destination Known, Build Your Case Map. One of us will be personal mentor if you get that add-on. So you can reserve your spot now by clicking on this link right here. I'm going to grab that. Just so you know, I've been reading the website and I haven't been watching the comments. So here we go. Paste. That's how you get to the, I think I put that in the wrong spot. Just a moment. Right there. That's how you get to the workshop. Okay. Excuse me. So sorry. All right. Do we have any questions that we can take before I kick off the summer thing? Wait a minute. Then try again. My link didn't work, just so you know. So if someone else wants to try, please do. It's in the chat, the private chat. Do we have any questions we want to talk about? We want to address? There you go. Oh, good. Ooh, someone's good. Thank you for putting that up there for me. Who developed the NICE method? Hey, Rachel. So the NICE method was developed by us, but it was named by Ashley Crump and Rachel Trout. So the two of them kind of fine-tuned the NICE method. I believe it started out as something else, and then it developed into NICE, which is considered a mnemonic device. That's got to be our Rachel. I know it has to be our Rachel. So thank you, Rachel. I can't wait for you to tell us all about the NICE method on session 3. But that definitely is not a Laura thing. That is a Rachel, Kylie Trout, and Ashley Crump thing. I know how to do it and develop it, but I did not name it and figure it out into a mnemonic device. Rachel and Ashley do or did most of our training. Now it's mainly Rachel and Lori Cousin does our internal training with our team. Okay, and all right, let's talk about it. What's going on this July? I've got to pull this up because I don't have the names memorized. But like I said when we started our live tonight, this is our kickoff for our summer fundraiser. We're calling it this year Angels Among Us. So normally we do a Christmas in July and all that. And I just wanted to do something different this year. But what I didn't stop doing was giving back. So when you give to DNAngels, we give back to you. So we do have 3 tiers of prizes, and I don't think we can share this screen with you, but you'll see it in your newsletters. If you sign up for our newsletter on our website, you'll get this flyer. But it's the DNAngels Summer Drive. It lasts from July 1st to July 31st. It's a 100% virtual fundraiser. And we want you to help us prove that angels really do walk among us. So the feather tier is a $50 donation, and you receive a Tree of Life wooden beaded bracelet set. I think it's 4 or 5 bracelets, and it has like a Tree of Life charm on one of them. They're really cute. We sell them on our DNA merchandise store. And then the halo. Okay, we need a model. So we have the halo level, which is $100. And if you donate $100, which by the way is the most popular donation, you'll receive a limited edition DNAngels t-shirt. So you let others shine. I really want to talk about this t-shirt for a minute. So almost everybody here is wearing it. I can't stand up. And I think that's Brenda. Is that Brenda? Brenda is showing it, girl. And then we've got, I can't tell who this is. Oh, that's Tess. Thank you, Tess. I know David's wearing his. I'm wearing mine. Pretty sure Tara's got hers on. Lori's got hers on. But let's talk about this shirt for a minute. There is meaning behind the shirt. The shirt says, "Shake your family tree and see what falls out." And then at the bottom it says, "I support DNAngels and the right to know." But what's important is what's within this tree. When we kind of came up with the concept, this was Lori and I again, we wanted to talk about a couple different things. We wanted to talk about the trauma of making the discovery, or of living your life as an adoptee or a donor conceived person. So there are words in here that are like bad words: deceit, lie. I'm trying to find some other bad words.
Rejection.
What, Lori?
Rejection.
Rejection. That's a big one. But because we always consider that this is Pandora's box, and the story behind Pandora's box is all of these horrible things come out, but in the very end there was hope. I wanted to add that to the shirt too. So you're going to see things like love, hope, healing, awareness. So this shirt really does mean something very, very special to us. And it's only available in July. You cannot get this shirt after July. We will take it off of the market.
Take it right off.
And we do that every year. We come up with some sort of new shirt to give away at the $100 donation level. So I hope that you do get your shirt today. Now, if you want to join the workshop, that's $199, and that is the next level. If you want 2 shirts, you do have to donate $100 twice, just so you know, because if you do 200, I'm going to assume you're joining the workshop. But if you do 100 twice, that's 2 shirts. And I say that because we have a story coming out on Wednesday that Tara Crawford. She gave live results to her client, and it's coming out tomorrow. And he says, "Well, can I have 2 shirts if I donate, $100 twice?" And she's like, "You absolutely can." It was adorable. You cannot miss tomorrow's story. I was so choked up backstage as the producer while I was watching Tara give the results, and seeing this big, strong man just be so emotional about being able to fulfill his mother's wish of knowing who her father was. His mom had already passed, and so Tara was able to find out who his grandpa was, and it was just so sweet and adorable. Let me go back to our tiers really quick. So that's the flight, or I'm sorry, the Halo level, $100, you get a shirt. The flight level is $199, and that includes access to our exclusive workshop. And then we've got our impact tiers. This is not a giftable tier, but it makes such a big impact. So if you donate $250, you help others find direction when the road forward is unclear. We have the light bearer at $500. You shine a light that helps others uncover their story. We have the bridge builder at $1,000. You help connect the missing links between generations, between people, and between the truth. We've got the story keeper at $2,500, where your support helps restore lost chapters in people's lives. 2 more levels. At $5,000, we consider you a legacy revealer, and that's your impact uncovers long buried truths and empowers others to reclaim their identities. And then the truth architect at $10,000. And by the way, we have had $10,000 donations before, and I'll never forget their name. And I would love for you to be a $10,000 donation. And I will never forget your name, and no one here will ever forget your name. You will be known for the lifetime of DNA Angels. But we call you the truth architect. You're reshaping what's possible, creating a future where no one has to wonder where they came from. Okay, I feel like I'm doing all the talking here. But I do have something special I want to share with you. First of all, do we have any questions that we can talk about here? John, thank you for joining us. I know you are across the pond and it's after midnight now. So thank you so much for coming. And just a moment. Okay. Very good. So every once in a while we get emails from our viewers that they really are impacted by watching a story, and so they share their story with us, and normally we just we respond to it, and we engage with them and we thank them for watching. But someone emailed me yesterday, and it made an impact on me. And so I asked her, I said, "Do you mind if I share your email with our audience tomorrow while we do a live show?" And she's like, "I don't mind at all. Let me change it a little bit, kind of to redact some information." But I'm going to grab that email real quick and read it. Just a moment. You know how I am. I got to flip my screens. But I just thought it was so lovely, and so touching. So sorry. Give me just a moment. Ooh, I see lots of people downloading our free download here just since we were live. What'd you say?
Sorry, that was my computer.
Okay. All right. So here, I want to read this story. I want to make sure I get the redacted one. Just a moment. Okay. So I'm not going to say the name of the viewer, but I want to just give you actually, I don't even have to give you a backup. She explains it well here. She said that she was just watching Jamie's journey online. Her physician donor's cruel response made me very sad. When my husband and I were medical residents from 1975 to 1978, the fertility department at our medical center put out a notice asking for Jewish sperm donors. We are Jewish. My husband felt that he could help someone by donating, and I was fine with him doing so. Since our salaries were so low, my husband was truthfully also happy to have a little extra money. He only donated several times, and of course, it was completely anonymous then. In 2020, he received an email from a man who matched with my husband's cousin on 23andMe and had helped her in figuring out who his donor was. He knew only that he was a physician in our city. And in the email, he wrote, "I believe you're my donor." My husband responded warmly, and we shared telephone calls with him and his wife. Not only does his biological son share my husband's profession as a, oh, not only that, hang on, not only does his biological son share my husband's profession as a physician, he and our two sons all settled in the same metropolitan area, away from where they grew up, and he lives halfway between them. That's kind of crazy. Although we couldn't meet for a while because of COVID, we did when that was possible. And each November since then, he and his wife join us for Thanksgiving dinner at our son's house. There, they have met my husband's closest relatives as well. Everyone is comfortable being together, and we all enjoy the day. No more children have turned up. We are very happy to have given this biological son all the information he wanted, and it feels like a blessing that he and his wife have entered our lives. How sad that another physician, Jamie Stoner, was unable to open his heart to her. I just wanted to share a more positive story about the appearance of a biological child from that anonymous era of sperm donation. Thanks for the work that you do. I watch many of your videos, and I am moved by the stories and learn a lot. I'll try to watch the live show tomorrow. So if you are in our audience and you are the one who sent that email, hi. Thank you for so much for allowing us to share your story. I think it is so important that we do get to see that side. And since you sent that story, I also emailed you back with an update. So I'm going to give everybody an update on Jamie's story. If you're familiar with Jamie's story, her donor did reject her. He was quite rude. But a few weeks later, Jamie came back to me and said, well, although my donor is not interested, he did tell his son about me, and his son found me, and he wants to have a relationship. So Jamie is in a relationship with her brother, and they've been able to create a bond. So I'm very, very happy about that. All right, someone talk. Anybody, any of you guys got anything to say? Don't be shy. You know you're not shy.
You know, I was thinking something. I get a lot of questions from people why I'm interested in this. And I thought that might be kind of fun if we went around kind of saying like how we got started in this. Cause you know, I meet a lot of people in real life too. And that's like what people always say to me. So I don't know what you guys think, but maybe we could go around and say what got us each started in this. Laura, is that right? Or
sure. What got you started, Laura?
Well, actually for me, I'm more of a traditional genealogist, I would say. And I've been really working on that since I was 10. I would sit down with my grandfather. I still have trees that I drew out on that yellow notepad that he had at his kitchen table every day. And so I really got involved with that. But my mother-in-law was adopted, and you know, I had a couple hints about her parents, worked on it, and couldn't figure it out until DNA came out, and then figured it out, and then it sort of like snowballed from there. You know, the other DNA matches didn't know who I'd reached out to, and that's just how I really got involved with it. So, but I love the genetic genealogy, but I feel like I am more of a traditional genealogist. So, you know, I write our reports and that kind of thing. But so that's how I got started. How about one of you guys?
Brenda, I'm calling on the next, so I'm not going to forget it this time.
Well, I started with actually about 35 years ago with just the genealogy, and the purpose for that was I went to my grandmother's funeral. And when we went, this was in Los Angeles, they had to stop traffic because the rows and rows of cars that was for this tiny little woman. She wasn't anybody famous, but she had 99 offsprings. And so from that one woman, there's almost 100 of us that are alive today because she was the one that started it all. She had 15 kids, and it spiraled from there. And so it dawned on me, she's an important person. Somebody's got to go ahead and, just tell her story. So that's where it started.
Yep. Thank you so much. I can tell that's special to you. I want to hear from Lori next. Lori, you have a history, and it's no one has even talked about it. Can you tell us where you retired from?
No.
No, I'm not going to share that story, she says. Okay.
I just want to talk about how I got involved in genealogy like everybody else. So I started with my father. My father was the one who did traditional genealogy. He built his family tree. He was an engineer, so he used graph paper and he did it by hand, and then he taped all of the pages together, and he had this big, long family tree. And once DNA started to come about to be used, I suggested that he get his DNA tested because we are 100% Ashkenazi Jews, and I always thought that there could be some survivors from the Holocaust that got displaced and that we didn't know about, and it would be a good idea to do DNA and see if we could find any long-lost relatives. And so we did that. We tested his DNA, and that's how I started to get involved in it and started to ask him who this person was and who that person was, and then started to build out the tree. I had no idea that the Ashkenazi genealogy is nearly impossible to do. So I couldn't get too far with his, but since I love doing it so much, I like building other people's trees.
Yes.
So that's how I got involved.
Well, we're happy you're with us. We really are. Do I see one of your cats behind you?
Yeah. That's
Which one is
Samson. That's the star, the one that's always video bombing my videos.
I love your cats. Yes. They're adorable. You call on the next person.
Okay, I'm calling on David.
Okay, so I got started in genealogy, I'll say traditionally, when my wife was pregnant with our son. He just celebrated his 27th birthday, so I've been doing this for over 27 years now, just doing traditional genealogy. And then decided to, well, first I was gifted a 23andMe DNA test from my father, who he actually had been gifted it from my sister, who he didn't want to take it, so he handed it off to me. So I took it, and it was interesting. I saw some things in there that were a little bit odd to me, and so didn't dig too much because I really didn't know a lot. And then a couple of years passed, and I took a test for Ancestry, and immediately had first cousins who I had no idea who they were. And so I started to dig into them and really try and figure things out. And it really, once you find one or two little mysteries, you start really digging into those, I think, a lot. And I mean, my traditional genealogy was great and all because, there's all these mysteries to solve. And researching from my dad's side, who was from Mexico, that was always a big challenge because you had to kind of search by hand. Really, you didn't have a lot of index records or anything like that, so you kind of had to really do some traditional digging. And so that's kind of where I evolved this entire process from, and then joined DNAngels. I mean, I ran into Rachel, who I know she's watching right now at Roots Tech, not this past year, but the year before. And so I, just kind of started getting involved that way, and it's been great. I love it.
That's right. I forgot about that. Okay, you pick the next person.
I'm going to go with Tara because she's the face I looked up and saw.
All right. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd always been into genealogy first, but I've had this lifelong story that my last name is not supposed to be Crawford, it's supposed to be Gilly, that someone's parents was killed and hit by a train and their son was adopted out to the Crawford cousins. So when DNA came out, I was determined to figure out if this was true. Since my dad had passed away, I tested. He has 2 sisters. One's a half sister, so they only share a paternal line. So during that time, I was building. I learned how to build trees for matches out of nothing. But back then, I used to make a new tree for every single DNA match, which is why in my account, I have so many trees. Also in the process, I kept getting, I got like 3 matches that came through that were matching my aunts as half nieces and nephews, 3 of them. Turned out they were all siblings, they were all adopted. So then I was on a mission to figure out their mystery. And big long story, it turns out I am a Crawford. My dad has a half brother through the paternal line. I got him the Y test, linked us straight up to the Crawford line. I do have an idea who he is. I'm looking because he's someone from the 1800s. And then these 3 matches that popped up in my tree that are siblings that won't talk to each other, that were all adopted out, I found in a phone book. Basically, my grandfather must have went to visit his brother in North Carolina while he was in the Army, hooked up with their mom, and she went back to New York and had a kid. So my grandfather fathered a child, and I'm probably the only person on the planet that knows or cares. But that's how it all started.
Wow. Wow. Okay,
you calling that's so cool.
You call on the next person, Tara.
Okay. It's gonna be Tess.
Okay, so I'm a lot like Laura. I think I'm a traditional genealogist at heart. Although once DNA came along, I was absolutely fascinated by it and couldn't help but pull it into my genealogy. So when I was little, I was probably 12, 13. I would go into, I had a grandma that did genealogy, but she did it the hard way, where she'd have to drive an hour and a half to the library and look things up. And I remember taking a trip with her to work on her genealogy to the Sacramento library. And she would write letters. She had stacks of letters she would write to other genealogists just to find out information, because it was before the internet, computers. So, and I was just fascinated. She had binders, and I would just go sit in her office and go through all of her genealogy binders, looking at it all. And in my early 20s, she passed away, and all of her stuff was given to me because I was the one interested. And I've just never put it down. I've had my tree for a good 30, 35 years. And then DNA came along, and that fascinated me just as much. So, and then it's funny that Tara said that about the last name. So my married name is McIntosh, but it should be Highsmith. And I had my husband take a Y-DNA test because there's a rumor that his great-grandfather's name, it shouldn't be McIntosh, it should be Highsmith. And I had my husband take a Y-DNA, and all the Highsmiths showed up in the surnames for my husband. So the rumor's true. So, but my husband refuses. He loves the name McIntosh. He's like, nope, it's right the way it is. So.
Well, thank you, Tess, for sharing that. That just leaves Jess and myself. And before we have Jess tell us her story, I want to just say thank you to John from Utah. He is our first enrollee in a workshop with DNAngels and our first donation for our July fundraiser. So thank you so much, John. It means everything to us that you trust us with teaching you how to understand your DNA. Jess, tell us your story.
So my great grandfather came over from the Philippines to the United States, and I have been doing my own personal genealogy for 20 or more years, just enthralled with the history that can come from those stories from the Philippines. And soon discovered that my grandfather, who married my Filipino grandmother, didn't know who his grandfather was. And so I took a DNA test, and I made my dad take a DNA test, and I said, we're going to find out who he is and where he came from. And we did find him, and turns out my great great grandmother came over to the United States looking for him because he left his family. And I have been enthralled with telling my ancestors' stories, and making sure that they're not just names on a page, but that they have stories to go with their lives.
Thank you. That's so special. Hey, I just wanted to address a question over here, and I see that it has been answered in the comments, and you're right. But Jason asked, what are the donations used for? How do they benefit the NPE and adoption communities? And thank you for asking that. And our answer was correct. The donations are used for paying the subscriptions we need to do all the work that we do, and for buying DNA kits. So we buy several $1,000s worth of DNA kits every single year. And then we pay an extraordinary amount of money for subscriptions to Ancestry, Been Verified. Oh gosh, I always forget all of the subscriptions that we have. We have multiple subscriptions to different background checkers so that we can find living contact information for people. I don't know who is having feedback, but it's driving me nuts. Does anybody know who that is? Okay, anyway. Or is it me? I don't think it is. But it's not free. So what's free for our clients is not free for us. It costs us a lot of money to run DNAngels, and we do not charge our clients for identifying a birth family. We do ask for donations, or let's say we accept donations at the end, but this is not something that is forced upon a person, and we don't ask for a donation up front. So we're going to simply listen to your story, look at your DNA, identify your parent if possible, and give you your answer, all without talking about income, because you should not have to worry about how much money you have in the bank in order to identify a birth parent. Now, we do cut it off at birth parent. We also find grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and that does come with a small fee. It is greatly reduced from the regular price of a genetic genealogist. We are also professional genetic genealogists, but we use the funds from grandparent cases and great-grandparent cases to kind of get us by through the year, and pay for things. We also use the funds to send our angels to Roots Tech or other conferences so that they can keep learning all of the new technology that will help us solve even the hardest of cases. So we do use that. None of our angels or genetic genealogists get paid to do the job. It's all volunteer work. I also volunteer, but as the executive director, I do get a paycheck. So I hope that answered your question. Let's see. I guess that leaves it with my story, doesn't it? So as the founder, I was the family historian for my family for about 15 years. My Aunt Shirley, and if you're watching, Aunt Shirley, hi. And I assume my cousin Susan is probably going to watch this if she's not here right now. My Aunt Shirley taught me all things about our family history. And Shirley is my dad's sister, and I just loved everything she was showing me. She gave me this big, beautiful binder of a family tree and old photos and things like that. And then one year for Christmas, I wanted to create a family tree on Ancestry for my grandchildren. And I thought, well, I should take one of these DNA tests. It seemed, I'm always into technology. And so I took a DNA test thinking that that would help me with my research for the grandkids. And lo and behold, I found out I have all these weird matches, and I don't see any matches to my Aunt Shirley's family, who I dearly love, and I love my dad that raised me. Long story short, my dad that raised me wasn't my dad. nor was he the father of my 3 siblings. My mom had 4 children, all while married to my father, and none of us were his, because he had mumps as a child and he was sterile. But they didn't use a donor, but they had 4 kids. I'll just let your mind play havoc with that. I did identify my dad in about 2 weeks by learning everything I could. I did a cram session within about 2 weeks and understood everything about DNA. It really is simple if you have a mind to understand the methodology of DNA. It's not as complicated as a lot of people feel like it is. But my biological father, was also gone. But he did leave me 6 brothers. So I'm now one of 10. And I have 8 brothers and 1 little sister. But on the bio dad side, I only have brothers. And then on mom's side, I've got 2 brothers and 1 sister. And from there, DNAngels was formed. I met some other people like me in a support group, and we started helping people, and one thing led to another, and we began DNAngels. I didn't start DNAngels alone, but I am the sole founder now. And it's been wonderful. It really has. I can tell you that there are days that are trying, but when I go to bed at night, I can sleep well just knowing about the lives that myself and everybody on this team are changing. And those lives, when our clients find an answer, they're able to go to sleep now knowing the answer that they've been searching for, either for a week or for 50 years. So I'm really proud of DNAngels. And I'm proud of the relationships that I've created with all of the staff here at DNAngels. I consider many of you my friend. So just thank you for being here, and thank you for being our volunteers. We're going to take a couple more questions, and then we're going to end. And I had told the team that we're going to do this every week through July, but I don't think we're going to. We will say goodnight tonight, and then the last Tuesday of this month, we'll come back and we'll let you know how we did with fundraising and how many people joined our workshop and how many people are going home with a t-shirt. How's that? Let's check our questions and comments over here.
Well, I want to answer Kelly JQ.
Please.
She put that this is why she's scared to do the DNA portion. And like I said, 35 years ago, there was no such thing as DNA. And when I started doing my tree, it took me hours of actually visiting the LDS church with the microfiche, looking through to find the records. And once DNA came on board, I was like, you know what? How about I build a genetic tree as well? And I think what's cool about it is I have been able to map out. If I look at my second great grandparents, and there's 16 of them, I have genetically mapped 14 of them and further. So to me, I think that's kind of cool because I can prove every single ancestor of mine is actually of my blood. And I can, all of my aunts and my uncles, my husband's aunts and uncles, I have verified that every single one of them is indeed a child of these ancestors. So for me, everybody's building a genealogical tree, but to actually have physical evidence that I am definitely descended from all of these people, I think is pretty cool.
I'm going to tack on to what Brenda was just talking about too, because I didn't have any surprises with me. So, my cousins are my cousins and everything like that. But I did, I mentioned it earlier, I had some cousins in there that I didn't recognize who they were. And so It helped confirm some longstanding family rumors. It helped to sort of tie some pieces together that we really didn't know. And using all of the tricks of the trade that we've sort of built on here, you're able to build out that family tree, that genetic tree, and you can make contact with people who you may never have understood how you're related outside of having that DNA test completed and really sort of tracing their family, your family, and figuring out where the two tie together. It really is, it's eye opening, and it's so fun. Yes, there can be some heartache to go with it, and it is, you mentioned it earlier, Laura. It's Pandora's box can be opened, but there is still a lot of joy that can be found in it.
Exactly. I agree. I wouldn't take it back. I don't think I've made such great friends along the way that nothing can ever take away the memories that I made with my father that raised me, right? Nothing can ever take that away. He's always going to be my daddy. But I would have liked to have known at some point in my life that I did have a different genetic dad. And my mom did know who my dad was, just without going into my whole story. She knew who my father was. So I was 48 before I found out. At what point in my life should I have been told? So my advice to you out there, if you're listening and you have a secret that you're holding from your child, tell them now. Tell them early and often, because it will create resentment and hurt. So tell them now. Jason, that makes you a co-founder still, does it? I love genetically verifying all my relatives and the accuracy of my tree. I do. I love being able to go through and actually see who is fully related and who may not be fully related. That doesn't mean I'm going to go tell them that they're not fully related, but I can tell just by looking at your DNA if you match me on one side or both sides. And plotted out a 400 cm DNA match in my tree and put a DNA strand for a picture on there, everyone between me and them, to help confirm the results. That's part of our Nicely method, MS. So that's called a DNA connection. So you've got your match, and then you take your connection all the way up to what we call a most recent common ancestor. So what is it with this match that connects you to everybody else? That's cool. Good job. That's what I observed too. So when I say we map with photos, when I was learning this and as I learned this, I noticed that in some trees, people were using these photos to like map things out or put placeholders in place. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So we figured that out, me and the co-founders, before everything, and we started that with like we do a photo for match, we do a photo for connection, and then we do photos for the most recent common ancestor. And I have to admit something. So in the very beginning, we didn't realize it, but like I said, we're genetic genealogists. We're not a bunch of graphic artists. And so our most recent common ancestor used to read most common recent ancestor, until we figured out that we had it spelled wrong on there. So we had to flip all of our trees over to say most recent common ancestor. But that's kind of a funny, way back in the day. Oh, you had 400 people. I'm sorry. You plotted out 400 people. Oh, 400 DNA matches in your tree. And you put a DNA strand for a picture on everyone. So on all the matches between you and them to confirm the records. Interesting. That is a way of mapping with photos. Whatever works for you. You have to teach your eyes how to understand your tree. I call that muscle memory. And that is how you create that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, so listen, we're going to wrap this up. We made it in a full hour. I cannot believe it. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Don't forget, this is our July fundraiser. It means so much to us to have all of you participate in our July fundraiser. And stay tuned. I'm telling you, Tara and Lori's story coming up is going to knock your socks off. You must watch Wednesday and Friday's story. And then I've got 2 for next week that are really good too. So Tara's tomorrow, Lost and Found on Thursday, and Lori's story on Friday. Have a wonderful holiday weekend, everybody. Thank you for showing up.
Bye.